Pulp Trump Fiction Stories presents Episode 4, May 13th, 2026. This used to be our playground. The Situation Room had been redesigned. Not officially, but somehow, over the past few months, it had slowly transformed into something between a billionaire's basement theater and the world's most expensive middle school principal's office. The basketball hoop hung over a missile tracking monitor. Someone had replaced the nuclear football with a red kickball labeled, "Do Not Touch, Trumps." And along the far wall, 12 giant screens displayed live feeds of a playground beside a school in Iran. Children ran between monkey bars on swings. Teachers stood nearby supervising recess. Pete Hegseth leaned back in his chair, eating kettle corn from a helmet. Trump squinted at the screens. "Look at this," he murmured. "Weak playground." Pete nodded gravely. "Very low alpha recess energy." One screen showed two boys taking turns on a swing. Trump scoffed. "Too share-y." "Agreed," said Pete. "Nobody's establishing dominance." Another screen showed a teacher calmly correcting a child who had pushed another student. Trump frowned. "There, that one. Future disaster." "The teacher or the kid?" "Both, but especially the kid. You can't correct that kind of playground instinct. That's leadership material." Pete pointed at another screen. A little girl in a wheelchair was laughing while racing classmates near the blacktop. Trump stared. "Too one-leggedy." Pete nodded thoughtfully, like a man evaluating military strategy instead of a schoolyard. "Mobility optics matter." Stephen Miller sat silently in the corner, taking notes beneath a poster reading, "Playground rules for patriots. Never share. Never apologize. Crying is losing. If you own the ball, you own the game." Trump suddenly leaned back. "You know," he said softly, "I literally invented taking my ball and going home." Pete straightened immediately. "Sir?" Trump pointed vaguely into the distance. "Queens, 2nd grade, kickball situation." The room quieted. "There was this kid named Ronald something. Red hair, suspicious freckles, total loser." Stephen scribbled furiously. "Remember to dox Andrew Egger at the Bulwark." End Carrot Top. Trump continued. "They said I was out." He paused dramatically. "But I owned the ball." Pete whispered. "My God." Trump nodded. "So I picked it up." He mimed grabbing the ball. "And I left." Pete shook his head in awe. "A tactical genius." "Nobody could play afterward," Trump continued proudly. "Total shutdown. That's leverage. That's foreign policy." Stephen looked emotional. "The birth of deterrence." Trump smiled. "That playground begged me to come back." "Did you?" "No. I opened negotiations with another playground 2 blocks over." Pete slapped the table, laughing too hard. "That's why they fear you, sir." Trump stood and wandered toward the giant screens. Children continued running beneath the afternoon sun. One little boy tripped near the slide, then immediately stood back up. Trump pointed. "That one has instincts." Pete narrowed his eyes. "Could have been dangerous in 10 to 15 years. Another screen showed a teacher blowing a whistle. The children immediately began lining up to go inside. Pete laughed. "Look at that." Trump smirked. "They listened." "All at once," Pete added. "Very stupid." Trump folded his arms. "That's the problem with schools. Too much obedience to the wrong people." Pete stood slowly, stretching like a man preparing to ruin a country and then host a podcast about it afterward. "You know what the ultimate playground flex is?" Trump grinned. "Godfather stuff." Pete pointed. "Exactly. Crime family energy." Stephen perked up immediately. Trump turned theatrical. You don't just become powerful. He tapped his chest. You become the guy everybody has to worship. Pete nodded. That's the flex. Every playground had one, Trump continued. One kid everybody knew to laugh with, even when he wasn't funny. You laugh for him. Stephen raised a trembling finger, like forced tribute systems in medieval courts. No, Trump corrected. More important. Pete took a slow sip from a bottle labeled Cash Patel Bourbon, 101 proof of loyalty. Trump pointed at Stephen. Tell them your example. Stephen adjusted his tie nervously. 7th grade, cafeteria, I made everyone clap when Chad Mingleton opened a pudding cup. Pete stared. Why? Stephen blinked. He controlled the chocolate milk. Pete whispered. Incredible. Trump nodded approvingly. That's infrastructure. Pete grinned. My turn. He leaned back proudly. 8th grade dodgeball. The room listened carefully. There was this kid named Trevor. Total psycho. He had a mustache somehow. Stephen wrote. Early emerging warlord traits. Pete continued. Every day, Trevor made kids compliment his jean jacket before entering the gym. Trump laughed. That's beautiful. One day, Pete said solemnly, a substitute teacher refused. The room went silent. What happened? Trump asked. Pete stared into the bourbon bottle. Nobody saw her again. Trump nodded respectfully. That's real leadership. On screen, the playground had emptied now. The children had gone inside. The swings moved gently in the wind. Pete checked his phone, chuckled, typed something, then calmly poured himself another shot of Cash Patel bourbon. Trump looked over. What's funny? Pete raised the glass. Just thinking how stupid it was for the kids to listen to the teacher. Then he lifted the bourbon, said, bombs away. He drank the shot. 1 second later, every screen in the Situation Room went black. Simultaneously. No alarms, no music, no dialogue, just darkness. Abrupt and total. End episode